What's up, everybody? It's T-Wolves 2016 here. I did want to apologize for not doing a video recently. It's been really long. I've been doing a lot of working on my car, working around the house, racing my car because I race as a hobby, and looking for a job. So all this stuff has really kept me from finding time to actually do this. I haven't been doing a lot of Stanley Cup videos, Stanley Cup final videos, because I just can't do it. Sorry, brain fart. The videos don't upload very quickly. I'm actually recording this. It's probably not going to upload for a couple days because the Wi-Fi at my house sucks, and other people are using it, which bogs down the Wi-Fi, and then all that other crap. So either way, as you can tell from the title of the video, I am looking at the Western Conference version of the Capitals the last few years, and yes, that is the Minnesota Wild. People I'm repping right here with Ryan Suter on the back. I like Minnesota. I root for Minnesota. I think they're a great team. Their playoff record, however, that leaves something to be. Now, this is actually probably the first video I've done actual research for. They've made 9 playoff appearances. Their record is 26-47. Now, that's bad. I mean, that's pretty bad. They're losing almost twice as many games as they're winning. And if you look at their storied history, it raises a lot of red flags. You start off, they have only made 1 conference final appearance in their career. I will not be including the Dallas Stars, Minnesota North Stars in this franchise's history because the Minnesota North Stars are part of the Dallas Stars history, and I will make a video about them at a later date. That being said, I'm going to take you through a quick run through their playoff, history, and we're going to see exactly what, is really going on. What's up? I'm back. I really don't actually know how the camera cuts work when I pause the video, but I did want to do one last thing on research and look it up. So, and really quick going on, Minnesota, I'm going to do a round by round record, and then we'll really look at it. I'm going to not dive it way too much into the statistics, but I do want to look into it a little bit. So for starters, Minnesota's first round record is 20-32. They have not made it past the first round in 6 of their playoff appearances. So 6 of their 9 playoff appearances, they have not made it past the first round. In the other cases, in 2 cases, in 2 cases, they got eliminated in the second round, and in 1 case, they made it to the Western Conference Final. Now, here we go. Now we start. 2002-2003 season. This is Minnesota's, I believe, 2nd or 3rd season. They came in 2001, so this would be about their 2nd or 3rd season. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Minnesota makes the playoffs, and they beat Colorado in 7 games in the first round, and then they beat Vancouver in 7 games in the second round. And they're ready to face the then named Mighty Ducks of Anaheim in the Western Conference Final. They are 4 wins away from a Stanley Cup Finals berth, and they get swept. This would be their only conference appearance, their conference final appearance in their storied history. The next time they'd make the playoffs was 06-07, where they would get eliminated in the first round by guess who? The Anaheim Mighty Ducks. 2008, Colorado got eliminated in the first round 2 games by only winning two games, losing the series 2-4 to Colorado. And now comes the part where I realize why Minnesota fans hate Chicago. 2013, Chicago, they lose to Chicago 1-4 in the first round. Chicago goes on to win the cup. 2014, they beat Colorado in the opening round in 7 games and then lose to Chicago in 6 in the second round. 2014, by the way, the Kings won the cup. 2015, Minnesota beat St. Louis 4-2 in the first round and then gets swept by Chicago in the second round. In 2016, They did not make it past in 16, 17, and 18. They did not make it past the first round. That is, losing in 6 to Dallas, losing in 5 to St. Louis, and losing in 5 to Winnipeg, respectively, as it pertains to 16, 17, and 18. So, breaking this down just a little bit more, we're going to look at playoff record by team. Minnesota has one team that they faced in the playoffs where they have a winning record against, and that is the Vancouver Canucks. They are 4-3 against the Vancouver Canucks in playoff history record. Against the Anaheim Ducks, they are 1-8. They are 3-12 against Chicago. They are 10-10 against the Colorado Avalanche, so they're right at 500. They are 2-4 against Dallas, 5-6 against St. Louis, and 1-4 against Winnipeg, as I've already mentioned, the 4-3 versus Vancouver. So what is all of this supposed to mean? Well, they make the playoffs. They're a good enough team to make the playoffs. And watching these past few years, I agree with that. I think they're a really good team. I think they can make the playoffs. That being said, it is hard for me to look at this any team that has this kind of record and say they're Stanley Cup material. I think Minnesota is a team that is about 1 or 2 pieces away from really having a strong cup run. They had a really strong cup run in the 2003 playoffs, and then got swept by Anaheim. They had they had a lot of momentum. Again, they won 2 7-game series, and those are hard to win in the NHL. And then they get swept in the conference finals. By looking at that, I can probably say they were tired. You play 14 games getting to the conference final. I didn't look up what the Mighty with Anaheim did, but I'm pretty sure Anaheim didn't play all 14 games that they could have on their way to conference final, and then Anaheim would then lose to New Jersey in the final, but that's not important. The point is, the Minnesota Wild, especially these last few years, as from the stretch of 13 to 18, they've been making the playoffs consistently and consistently breaking our hearts, because I want to see Minnesota do well. I want to see Devin Dubnyk do well. I want to see Eric Stahl, Mikko Koivu, Nino Niederreiter, Charlie Coyle, Mikael Granlund. I want to see all these guys do well, but they're just, the records, and all this stuff just shows that they're not playoff material. A 26-47 record in the playoffs, again, is kind of gaudy to look at if you really think about it. But that being said, where do we go from here? Well, Minnesota does have that albatross of a contract currently being locked up by Zach Parise. I'm not saying he's undeserving of it, but I am just saying it is an egregious amount of money. Okay, I will say he's undeserving of it. How he's been playing recently, again with injuries. Injuries do hinder one's ability to play, obviously. He's just not living up to the contract he's signed. And some of it's his fault, some of it's not. But I think it would benefit Minnesota to attempt to move this contract if they could. I like Parise in a Wild uniform. I think he's a great guy. I think he can lead this team. But I just think he's too injury prone, which is another reason why other teams won't trade him. And he's taking up a lot of cap for spending a lot of the year on the injured reserve. That being said, all of these first round matchups that Minnesota's are losing are against very good teams. They're not getting an easy route to the playoffs. 2003, I wasn't really into hockey then. I know I said I've been a fan of the Minnesota Wild since about 2000, and I've known who they are since 2000. I like the idea of the team since 2000. I haven't really watched the team since about 2008, so I really didn't know if the Colorado Avalanche team in 2003 or the Vancouver Canucks team in 2003 were any good. But I know recently, 2013 and 2015, they got eliminated by the eventual Stanley Cup champions. In 2003, they got eliminated by the team who then lost to the Devils in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I don't think that would have been much different. In 2016, they lost to Dallas, and Dallas had the great momentum until they ran into St. Louis in the second round. And then they lost to St. Louis last year, and this year was more injury prone than anything else. That being said, the Minnesota Wild have the potential to, and the prospects really, to really become a playoff threat. Minnesota has proven by all these playoff runs that they've been on that they can make the playoffs. They're good enough to make the playoffs. They're not really a borderline team as it pertains to making the playoffs. You know, in the last 6 years, it's been a safe bet to say Minnesota is going to be pretty good and make the playoffs. They're, you know, they're middle of the pack people, but they're never, you know, they're very rarely ever borderline making the playoffs. And again, all of these are my opinions. You're more than welcome to disagree with me. If you do disagree with me, though, I would like to hear your side. Maybe you've done a little more research than I have. I literally did about 10 minutes of research and jotted it all down on my pad here, and have the year-to-year progression, and then here I have a more simplified version of it. But either way, I'm rooting for Minnesota. I really am. I think and I fear that Devan Dubnyk may have played his best hockey, though. I think Devan Dubnyk's best years are behind him. I think another issue Minnesota suffers from is not having a backup goaltender they can go to. They had a great backup in Darcy Kuemper, and then Kuemper left. Now they have Stalock, and Stalock has never really been starter material. He's, you know, he's even rarely been backup material, if I'm just being honest. But either way, I think Minnesota can do it. I think they need to have a big offseason, and I think they need to try to dump Parise and to another team, because buying him out, it's not going to do any good. And then add some assets, add some young assets that they can get and that they can, you know, use to push themselves past this barrier that they've seen to hit. But if you really look at it, they really are, you know, they can't seem to make it past the second round as of, you know, well, really 2007. You know, from 2007 to 2008, they've made 8 playoff appearances, and they've made the second round twice and lost both times by, you know, they have a 6-11 record in the second round. And, you know, the only reason they don't have a worse record in that is because they beat Vancouver in the second round in 2003. So that being said, can the Minnesota Wild turn this around? We'll just have to see. Again, this year I'm putting it less on, you know, they're the Washington Capitals, and more on the idea that they had Zach Parise injured. He was playing injured, but he was still injured, and he's, you know, one of the best goal scorers. Eric Stahl went cold at the right time. They lost Ryan Suter like a few games before the playoffs began, and he was out, and that's a huge blow. But I think with the core that they've assembled, I think they can do it. Being said, thank you for watching the video. I know I do seem to ramble a lot, and some of the thoughts don't seem to connect together. That's just because I'm trying my best to get it all, you know, all out and make sense of this jarbled mess that, you know, you can prefer you not to, because my handwriting is awful. But yep, I'm praying for a day where Minnesota can make a conference final or even the Stanley Cup final and be competitive, because I know when I used to do season simulations with when I used to do season simulations with the NHL games and see how NHL said the thing would do, the NHL games always say that Minnesota would do well, and they never end up they never end up doing well. And, you know, that's just kind of heartbreaking. So I'm hoping the Minnesota Wild can do it. Like I said, this is already turning into a bit of a long video, so thank you for watching this. If you're watching all the way through, thank you very much. I really hope you enjoyed watching, hearing what I had to say. And, you know, what do you think the Minnesota Wild can do to benefit the team? Or do you think the Minnesota Wild need to go full rebuild? I'd love to hear your comments, opinions, and, you know, anything else. If you're new to the channel, please leave like and subscribe. I believe that's what the sides they're on, although I'm not 100% sure. I will be uploading new content more frequently now. I will be trying my best actually to put that up, but again, I'll do my absolute best with what I can. I'm going to be hopefully getting a job here in the next week or so, and then I can, really start making money outside, because I'm not making any money off this. That being said, have a great day, morning, evening, midnight, twilight, whenever you're watching this, dusk, dawn, whatever y'all have a great day, and happy playoffs. Peace.